another video just in light of what's the newest news that's what's happening to my family because I'm in captivity. I can't help anyone. Neither can my oldest daughter's mother, or my youngest daughter's mother. Those of you who may be new to the channel, I've been married more than once. I spent a significant time abroad. I am divorced. I have been annulled. And that's about it. But the thing is, actually, I have two annulments. But the thing is that people are repeatedly targeting my children, their mothers, and myself the most. But it's complex, but it is a lot of it's related to human trafficking. No, my heart goes out to sex workers. There's many different types of situations, and even the person that chooses that type of work, they like the money, or they like the attention, or they like having multiple partners, and they figure, well, why not make money while we're doing it? In the end, they always lose, and they're trying to obtain something that they're not going to get what they want. Even the person that decides to get paid for multiple sexual partners, in the end they're going to walk away probably with a disease, a lot of heartbreak, and potentially even some violence. It's not a good life. And people who want to engage in that kind of life, even the Tinder lovers, in the end you wake up with nothing in your bed. Even if somebody's there when the sun comes up, they'll be soon gone. And guys that fill up their walls with all kinds of models and pictures from magazines or posters. I mean, I've done that. I was a guy. I've had magazines. I've had posters. I had a poster of a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader for quite a while. I think probably from junior high through high school, maybe. And I had another one of, I'm trying to think, Baywatch star. And then I had another one, Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition model. I think that was about it. And I've seen, I'm not innocent. I've seen videos in my life, in the military, guys share videos, people go to the video store, whatever. But when you look at this kind of stuff, it leads you into sin, and you have to break those bondages that connect you to this, because it creates an illusion of what's really there. Nothing's really there. And whatever kind of ecstasy is momentary at best. And, when you really, really look at things, assuming that you're looking at the legal stuff, if you're not looking at the legal stuff, well, then you're automatically going down the wrong path. And if you're looking at the legal stuff, still, you could potentially be going down the wrong path spiritually, because it's leading you into sin. There's people talk about couples therapy type videos for couples having problems and stuff. But when you sit back and think about it, it's really not helping the couple. They're objectifying each other. Any intimacy lessons or therapy should be between the couple only. And there's no such thing as artistically made porn. You don't know the person who is involved. What is their financial situation? Is this passive trafficking where they're like, well, yeah, I got to pay for grad school, social work school, graduate social work school, medical school, law school, education. Yeah, I knew one person who was studying education to get her master's. It was a friend of a friend. I thought, what? Well, she's paying for her master's. I'm like, to be a teacher? This baffled me. But, or medical school. The thing is, these people, they're strapped for cash or they don't want loans. In the end, all they're doing is teaching people that it's okay to objectify them. And in the end, yeah, their medical school is paid for, but they've been entirely humiliated. They're emotionally damaged. Hopefully they don't have a disease. But once people find this stuff, they're going to have to choose where they live because they may not be able to practice whatever profession that they're going to practice if it has licensing regulations. So they may or may not. It just depends where they live. But that being said, people involved in this could be an eternal target of child protective services. Especially if they have a criminal record with this, even misdemeanors. That's going to always, follow them around. But, even in these type of situations, in the end, they're not the ones with the penthouse. They're not the ones with royalty rights. They're not the one who in the long run gains. Yeah, their school's paid for. But what about the long-term effects? And the people who are forcefully trafficked, I am pretty tired. Some health issues. Anyway. Even the people that are actively trafficked, they have suffering probably more than the people who are passively trafficked. But the thing is, in the end, everybody loses. Only the people that traffic them gain anything. And, my heart goes out to people in any of those situations. And for the people that nowadays, oh yeah, hey, I got a website or I have videos on this site and I'm getting profits. In the end, that $400 or $500 a year or a month. In the end, the long-term effect for what you've done, and if you ever wanted to erase that stuff, you're going to have quite a task at hand. If you have a child that's, hits their teens and they start watching stuff like that and friends pass video to them, or if they're guys, they're talking about stuff during games or in locker rooms like guys do. I feel bad for the parent that tries to create a clean slate from their past, because it's going to be very difficult to obtain. And the money they earn is really nothing. And that being said, the people that are watching this stuff and the particular websites that, that promise legality and such, you don't know. You don't know how people were manipulated or forced. In my younger years, I dated a couple of dancers, and, well, I guess I could really only say I dated one dancer. No, I guess I could say two. But, and they were stark contrast to each other. One of them was, I tried to warn her, don't get involved in this. We were weren't really serious. It was, the beginning stages. Um, but I didn't want to, push too much. Um, I mean, in the end, I lost. I'm like, I don't think it's good what you're doing. You've started smoking weed all the time, drinking all the time, and yeah, and she ended up meeting a guy that was one of her frequent, visitors, I guess. And I don't know what happened to her, but she managed to move. This guy helped her move. But yeah, she was very manipulated because she was, poor. She wanted to change her situation for her life. This allowed it, but it had a lot of consequences, and there was a lot of manipulation. And then I know another person that has brought nothing but disaster to her children, and she supports it. She said she's one of the people that say, "Oh, it's the oldest profession in the world. So what?" Well, all that this profession brings is destruction and harm for people. So, my concern is, the these type of things, the posters, the magazines, the videos, the websites. It, you don't know what's behind what's going on. It takes you to a point of where you objectify people for the purpose of sin, and herein lies with another thing that it does. This type of stuff creates predators. And what about the kind of videos that are like vlog type stuff that are sex videos? That's predatory stuff in and of itself. And some of the stuff where people, get people off the street or whatever, or recruit people, different stuff like that, that's predatory behavior. It glorifies it, and it harms people, and it destroys people, especially men. And when a man objectifies his wife so much to the point where she doesn't feel that he looks at her as a person, or even it could be a girl, things are. Uh, we're in a more equitable world now, so it could be a girl treating guys like that. I've known girls like that. Yeah, he's a paycheck, and he's something for a Friday or a Saturday night. Again, this type of media is creating predators, and let alone to discuss this. We can't forget to add that some of the same people that are involved in this and that protect these, let's call it the agency of deviant sexuality. That's what we'll call it. We'll label some sociological and anthropological terms on it. It's the agency of sexual deviancy, and we can't forget some of the same people that are involved in this, or that support it, or that run the servers. They run the same servers to help men and women, girls and boys even, get trafficked. They run websites where pedophiles and epebophiles share videos, and they share stories and pictures and locations where they can share stuff in person. None of this is good. None of it. Some people say, well, hey, that's my income comes from my videos during my wild years in college. Yeah, what about your stable years as a parent? What about that? What about your years when you age and you want to have a dignified 50 plus, we'll call it that, and you want to have dignified years 50 plus? What about that? What about when people are profiting off of your creation so much that you only get a tiny, tiny bit of it? In the end, you're still the loser. And then you can't forget the damage that you're inflicting. We're talking about now about a Kabbalistic or a spiritual, or even some would say a karmic. It's different. Karma for Christians is different. But I mean, it's for us, it's cause and effect. The things that you've fostered, that you've created, that are warping the minds of other people. What about that? That has ramifications that you won't know until we all stand before Christ, the just judge. So that being said, it explains. I don't care if my background is put out there because people share stuff about me all the time. So I might as well try to share stuff that's the truth. Share the truth of what I've seen in my life and what people have done and are doing to my family. And, I've tried to liberate people from some of this stuff, and every time I've lost. Every time. If you're going to do an intervention, somebody who's involved in any stuff, even just lingerie modeling, sometimes it goes farther. And, when they grab people that are 17 or 18, these are kids. They don't know the world. They are easily manipulated, and boundaries are crossed easily. And because these kids, they like the money, they like wearing, whatever, Chanel, Armani, whatever stuff that they're wearing and that they're working for and that their resume has listed. So imagine how much things happen to these youth and nothing is said because it'll ruin your career. Oh no, don't go against that model agency. No, don't say a word. That's their favorite photographer. Or don't say anything. That agent, he or she has so many clients. You don't want them to dislike you. And so stuff's not reported until people have their own children. And like I've said in other videos, that's the time when people start to really look at their conscience. Because now, directly, everything they do will affect the world and how they raise their children. Also, it comes to the point where a parent looks at the damage that has happened to them and how it's damaged their children. And that's the point that the parents, they look for legal resources because people have to pay the price monetarily for the damage that has been inflicted on others' children. And then there's always God to deal with when the time comes when they're judged. Even if they're Bible pounding or whatever, text pounding or, spiritual type, whatever, still, the time is going to come when they'll be judged by God and he'll say, you pretended for all those years like you were one of mine? I never knew you. There's a place prepared for you, and that's the place for the fallen angels. Get thee hence from me. You were never my child. And some people will see that, and that will be the most powerful, most agonizing, most fearful, most dreadful event of their entire life. And we have to teach our children, we have to protect others. You can't, this stuff is becoming so common now. People talk about it, they make jokes about it. The other day, I was watching a video, and no, not that kind of video. The other day I was watching a movie, and it was, I forget exactly which streaming service. We're only using 2 right now, and one of them's been restricted. To save money, we generally only use one streaming service every 3 to 6 months. Will change to save money. And also, some of this stuff, they have the same movies, and but their movies refill very slowly, and their TV series refill very slowly, so we jump around. But now Amazon, generally they don't restrict you. unless you don't pay the membership fee. As long as you pay your membership fee, you can watch Amazon and Freevee, which now Freevee, I read an article, is being wrapped into the regular Prime stuff. So as long as you have an Amazon membership, you can always view Prime stuff. And now Freevee Prime stuff. But, that being said, I was watching a movie, and I saw in the movie one of the characters was sitting in his bed, and he had, I'm trying to remember now, it was Pornhub or something, that Pornhub, I think that's what was there. You could see it open on his laptop. No videos or anything, you just see the label there. Now, I don't know if that's a product placement, but, I guess it could be, but, it's just commonplace. People make jokes about it now. And, whatever people do in their privacy, some things may be natural, but yet even a natural thing can become a sin. And, I'm not going to get involved in that. There's lots of reasons why people do things that they do developmentally, hormonally. And some people, the hormones may help them with their health or release stress. I'm not going to discuss those things, but yet anything can be taken to the point of sin. And once it becomes sin, it can become a defining sin. So, I'm not saying it's easy to be perfect, it's easy to avoid sin, but it certainly should be a daily challenge, not something that's just ignored. And we can't let sin control our lives. We have to, there's a prayer that even as Catholics, we say in my family, and that's called the Shema, because it talks about the beginning of everything, and it talks about the end of everything, related to the elect, the God's chosen, and the people that choose Him, and related to, how we live our lives. But there's a part in there where it talks about the biggest thing is to not let your heart lead you into sin, not let your heart define you, and that then this leads you into sin. And so that should be defining for all of us. We can't let our heart lead us into sin, or our desires lead us into sin. And we can't let our sin define us. So, these any of this type of stuff, it's best to fill it with positive things. Fill it with things that build instead of take away. Fill it with things that benefit others, not just yourself. Because ultimately, if you read the Catechism, this type of behavior is supposed to be used to build a family, to build love, to build a bond, to get closer to each other. Ultimately, all of this is to build. It's not supposed to be a selfish event. And it's certainly not supposed to be an event used and it's not supposed to be an event used to harm others or to gain benefit from others. So I'd hope that any guys watching this, you would think about this next time you want to open that website, and hopefully over time you can change the acculturation of sexual deviancy that permeates our culture. Now watching this kind of stuff has become a norm, and it shouldn't be. It should be the rarity. The rarity or not at all. Let me put a disclaimer there, because these type of videos to increase intimacy for a couple. My argument, now again, I'm not a therapist, but I am a psychologist, and my argument will be that it still creates objectification, And it doesn't lead the couples to focus on each other. They're focusing on something else. And they may be focusing on a feeling or on an idea or on a fantasy, which none of it is reality. And so, again, this is just another kind of human trafficking that is destructive. And because it can't be artistic, it can't be uh, maritally building, it can't be non objective, not objectifying, it can't be not sinful. So, there's better ways to make money. And besides, if people think they're going to become millionaires off of this type of stuff and loading stuff to every single platform, they're not. And guys, if you find yourself unable to fight against this, what patterns take time to change. And I'm a guy too, and I grew up with the absolute opposite thinking that life has given me as I age. And it won't spice up your marriage. This is coming from experience. Because it doesn't, like I said before, this type of thinking within marriage therapy and couples therapy, it doesn't help. Trust me. And there's a different way to approach marital difficulty, and this is not one of them. So every time that you get that Sports Illustrated, I got to be careful here. You got to be careful when you get we're not going to say any kind of magazine, but a specific title. But if you're going to get that magazine or that video or that subscription to that website, or jump on some, what do they call them, peer-to-peer? Anyway, the sites that have tons of uploads of this stuff, I would really try to unlearn what you've learned. And sorry, we have a movie on here. I would try to, unlearn what you've learned. And to change how you think about this type of thing. Because, there's a good chance that the vast majority of the videos that you're watching, if not all of them, those people aren't willfully involved, and, they're not, I shouldn't say willfully, they're not passively, or no, not even the word, they're not, gosh, I'm trying to think of the right word, they're not willingly desiring to be a part of it. Like I said, the vast majority, if not all. And, because there's always ways, like I said before, that people are passively involved. They were manipulated and forced to do it because they're broke, because they're whatever situation. So, I encourage people to rethink how they think about things, and to avoid this kind of thing that harms our people and other people worldwide. And those people that are dancing or making movies, or the bouncers, or whatever, the producers, well, we'll exclude the producers because they tend to get more of the financial gain. But there's better ways to be treated. You have more value, and you're not going to make as much money and get as wealthy and as famous as you think you will. And generally, you'll find the people that survive this type of work, and they create their own niche, you know, adult video star or some famous, swimsuit model. Generally, when you talk to them person to person, you're going to find that if they survive this type of stuff without being broken or sick, they have to work tirelessly and lose time with their family to take their branding, that's what it is, to take their branding and earn any income at all. There's a better way to earn a living. And certainly, people deserve to be treated better than people that are involved in this are.